Welcome to the Breakfast Show on Faith FM with Skafy and Lindsay. This is the best place to start your day with positive and uplifting thoughts.
You're listening all across Australia on 87.6, 87.8 or 88 depending on where you are, or you can listen to us through our Faith FM app wherever you are in the world.
And today, if you're listening live, is Tuesday the 17th of March, 2026. I am in the studio with Lindsay and with producer Tish. Good morning to you, Tish.
Hello.
We are going to start with our exchange of gratitude. Would you like to go first today?
Yeah, so...
Lady Lindsay?
What I am grateful for today is being around some Queenslanders. We have Tish here in the studio, and she is from Brisbane, just like me. Actually, we grew up in the same church. And we were having some solid Queensland banter this morning with some good Queensland humour that you don't find anywhere else in Australia. And it's just so nice to have someone from home.
Okay, give me an example of a Queensland humour. Phrase.
I don't know if we want to use...
I don't know if much of it needs to go on the radio.
Yeah.
A lot of it's a little bit sad.
It's a little bit like
of
slightly darker humour.
It's okay.
But we'll just leave it at that.
Okay, well, there you go.
We can just say it was fun.
It was just fun.
Okay.
And mostly
I heard
okay.
that Queenslanders say that when you're asking for someone,
Don't say it.
asking for someone, where is that person? And they say, oh, they just went mad and then something happened to them. We did something to them. If you do know what it is, well, let us know. 0491 064 669. I am grateful for tidying up your house.
Yeah.
Yes. So my the entrance of my house was a little bit out of control, and it has been so for a couple of weeks. But you know what? Look, I have a high tolerance for a messy house. Do you have a high tolerance or a low tolerance for messiness?
I go through phases. Sometimes I need to have my house like super clean at all times, but other times I'm like, all right, I've got something else to do, and I'll just like live in a mess for a week, and then all of a sudden I'll be like, I have to clean now. I can't get anything else done without a clean house.
What about you, Tish? What's your level of from 0 to 10? 10 being perfect tidiness all the time. 0 being, look, I can live in a post-war rubble. Where are you in that spectrum?
I'd say I'm probably a solid 5.
I thought you were
could
going to
live
say
in
that.
either.
Yeah.
Generally, I like to be organized, but sometimes my room does not portray that very
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
Well, so my living room was, having like some boxes full of books and shoes kind of everywhere. And yesterday, you know what? I am going to tidy up this thing today. Today is the deadline. So I tidied it up. Everything went back to its original home. So it's kind of like the year of the Jubilee. And now, it's feeling like, man, I didn't know that I had so much space. My house looks like twice as big as it was.
Yeah. All the
So
clutter
I am
out of the
very
way.
grateful, yes, for a tidy house.
What about you, Tish?
This is a bit of a weird one. I'm very grateful for my desk. I finally got a desk. And that means that now I can do my worship sitting up instead of laying down in my bed trying to write little notes and stuff.
Oh, so
I'm
good.
very grateful for my desk.
Congratulations.
Yes. No, a desk is a good thing. It's one of the best human inventions.
I can be more productive now. It's not an excuse anymore.
Yes, there you go.
Awesome.
And in today's show, we are going to be looking at the story of Elijah and the widow of Zarephath. Zarephath. Depends on the translation that you read. We are also going to be talking about a man who saved his dog using AI.
Yep.
And what's going on with Tucker Carlson? I do not know, but everybody, if you've been following it, but everybody in the conservative social media sphere has been talking about it because he has dropped some pretty big bombshells online recently, and we are going to talk about that as well. So stay tuned. We have a great show ahead of you, and we have a very special interview today. I'm going to be not going to be revealing now, but it's,
you're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
It's time for Tish to give us our first quiz question.
It is, which book of the Bible was written for the reader to receive instruction in wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity? We have one correct answer already, and I'll read it one more time. Which book of the Bible was written for the reader to receive instruction in wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity? 0491 064 669. 2 correct answers in our studio. I'll read it one more time for anyone listening in. Which book of the Bible was written for the reader to receive instructions in wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity?
Yeah, I got that one. I was thinking a little bit because kind of in the end of the day, every single book of the Bible does that. However, there's one book of the Bible that says these things that you've said in this order with these words.
High concentration of this.
Yes, and absolutely high concentration of this. We're going to be talking more about that later, but today, if you would like to play on that quiz game, again, the number is 0491 064669. Also, this is the number to text if you were born in March, and you can get into our March birthday draw.
When are we drawing that?
So, sorry?
When are we going to...
So we are going to be taking the name this Friday.
Oh, so good.
Friday will be the draw, so you have to enter today, because if you leave it for tomorrow, chances are you are going to forget. Life gets busy, maybe you cannot listen to the show tomorrow or the day after, you won't be reminded. So stop whatever you're doing now. If you're driving, you can park your car in a safe place on the side of the road, and you text us your birthday, if it's in March only, and you get into the draw to get either a Bible, a voucher, a dinner with a host,
board game,
Wingspan,
yeah,
or you can get a cookbook. You can choose. It's your decision. You tell us what you would like, and you can choose one. Or if you're indecisive, you can ask us, and we will choose it for you.
Yeah. We could help you with that.
Yes. So 0491 064 669. Also, let us know, what are you grateful for today? Share with us your words of gratitude. And we are going to get into our Bible study now. Lindsay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
So get up your Bible and open it in
It's already
1 Kings chapter 17.
Yeah.
Yesterday we spoke about the very beginning. So just as a recap, Elijah was given the word of God. God said to Elijah, hey, go and talk to Ahab and tell him that there is not going to be any more rain, nor even dew from the sky. And Elijah went to Ahab. He delivered a message, and off he went. God says, now go and hide yourself near a brook, the brook in Kerith. And he did that. He went, he drank water from that brook, and God commanded ravens to visit Elijah in the morning and in the evening with a nice, simple meal. Just a bit of bread, Bible says bread and meat. The word meat in Hebrew can mean just food in general.
Yeah, different types of food.
Yeah, we don't necessarily...
Sweet meats was like dessert.
Sweet meats was dessert.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I never really paid attention to that.
There's
a psalm that says that God brings forth the meat from the ground, like from the crops.
Yeah.
Now, last time I checked, we don't get meat crops anywhere. But vegetables and so on, they're also called meat.
Yeah.
It's just like food.
Yeah.
And we are, and it kind of like in Portuguese, we have something kind of similar.
Okay.
Well, we have it similar in Australia as well. Like,
Okay.
we know when you have supper, often we say, we're having tea. We're not literally having tea.
Sure. Yeah, we're having dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if the Bible says that, the ravens were bringing bread and they were bringing tea, that doesn't necessarily mean that they were bringing actual drinking
little
tea.
cups of tea.
Yeah, so similar thing. That's similar thing.
Yeah.
In Brazil, for example, breakfast, we call it the coffee of the morning.
Oh.
Morning coffee. And that doesn't mean that you have to drink coffee or anything like that. It just means that this is your breakfast.
Oh, there you go.
That's the
That's
the most
fascinating. I
popular
love
word.
learning about different cultures.
Isn't it interesting?
Both current cultures and ancient cultures. It's so fascinating.
It is fascinating. And what happened here with Elijah, though, is that at some point that brook dried up. And let's read it from verse 7.
Can you just pausing before we do that?
Yeah,
Can you just imagine? All right, so this is lasting for a couple of years, and probably 18 months in, he's been hanging out by this creek, and the creek has been flowing. The ravens have been turning up day after day with bread and other morsels of food, morning and evening, to feed him. And he's like, yeah, this is going pretty good. But hey, there's been no rain, and the creek is just lowering day after day, and it's getting narrower, and there's only little patches of water, and he's starting to maybe think, oh, what's going to happen when this dries up? Like, what is God going to do? Like, maybe, do you think he was freaking out a little bit? Like, do you think he was like, has God left me here and forgotten about me and gone off to do something more important? Like,
Okay, I think it's possible. I think it is possible that he was kind of asking, hey, what next? Or I think it could be possible as well is that he was like reassuring himself, saying, look, I mean, I have been supernaturally provided for by ravens.
yeah, day after day.
Surely God is not going to kill me here,
Yeah.
dehydrated next to the, surely God has a plan.
Yeah.
I tend to believe that Elijah, being who he was probably more on that, look, God will provide. One of my friends like to say, if it's God's will, it's God's bill.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah,
So,
so good.
look, when God took on upon himself that responsibility to provide for us, he did. So there's no reason for us as followers of Jesus, as Christians, to ever doubt that we are going to lack in a few things, including clothes to wear, food to eat, and water to drink. Somehow God will provide. This is his responsibility.
Exactly.
And so far he hasn't failed it. And I tell people, if God ever failed you to provide your food for you, you could actually write a book, get millions and millions of dollars, because you'll be the first person in history that God wouldn't provide for. But then probably since you're getting millions and millions of dollars through this book, isn't that perhaps God providing for you in different ways?
Oh,
and
dear.
if you wrote a book, it meant that you survived. So you
dear.
can't really write the book then after all. So
No.
yeah, God will provide. This is like a very basic thing. We just have to remind ourselves, but God really took that upon himself.
You're just saying God always provides our food, our water, even our clothes. That reminds me of the time of the Israelites in the desert when they were wandering for 40 years. None of their clothes wore out. Their sandals didn't wear out. My shoes wear out in like a year these days. And I try to get good quality leather. Like they were walking around and their shoes never wore out. So I'm also thinking like the ravens that brought food. I'm betting Elijah was like, oh, this is like the Israelites in the desert when they got manna from heaven day after day. Like if he
but then
knows
I'll
the
ask you a
stories of
question.
the Bible, he's like, oh, this is the kind of thing that God does. He does provide.
Can I ask you a difficult question?
Go for it.
Okay, but then you can say, yes, Skafy, it's so good and fine, and we are talking about it from our Australian life. There's food everywhere, and nobody in Australia is actually starving to death. But hey, what about people that actually did starve to death? For example, you have tragedies during World War II. You have tragedies during the Cold War, like in Ukraine, for example, when the Russians stopped, or they were basically getting all of the Ukrainian supply of food towards back the mainland, and there's like millions of Ukrainians died during that process. You have the famines in the 1990s in Somalia, and you have, for example, this super famous picture of this young little boy who was like basically bone and skin, and there's a vulture next to him. There's this very famous picture that everybody criticized, saying, hey, why didn't you go save the boy and shoot the vulture instead of taking the picture? Actually, the photographer that took that picture, he ended up taking his own life later on.
Really?
I think he really lived with that.
Yeah.
That being said, I never really saw that as an issue, because he could totally just take a picture and then shoot the vulture.
Yeah.
It's not taking a picture and then just sitting down there and
And
seeing
it
what
wasn't the
happened.
problem of there being a vulture. It was the problem of the wider story that was taking place to get to that point with that child so emaciated. Like, he was actually doing a service to the world by sharing that this is an issue.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So, and then a lot of times people say, hey, Joseph, but what about children starving to death in Africa? Like, why are you saying that God provides? Well, he's certainly not providing for them. What would how do we work that one around, Lindsay?
Look, my perspective on why do bad things happen in this world and get so bad, and like why do people die? Why do children experience hunger or starvation or like cancer or whatever? I think like there's definitely a part where God provides for his children, and he provides for as many people as who want to receive from him. He also calls us as human beings to care for each other and to love each other as he loves us. And part of that caring and loving is looking out for the needs of others and actually taking initiative to put an end to injustice when we see it as well. It's not all on God. He has delegated that responsibility to us to serve each other, to love each other, to put suffering to an end. So I don't think it's fair to just say, oh, why is God allowing this to happen? But it's also on us to take some initiative and do something about that as well.
100%. The way that I say is this, that the promise of the Bible is this promise of God caring. He's talking about caring for his men servants and his maid servants.
Yes.
And fortunately, in one hand, unfortunately perhaps in others, but I would say fortunately overall, God respects people's free will. And that also includes that he respects when that free will is used to starve other people. In one hand, that serves to show how bad our world has become, how evil sin is, because this is the outwork of sin. That should be driving us not only to our knees, but as you mentioned, to our hands and our feet to do something about it.
Yeah.
So just because God allows evil to manifest because he's respecting the freedom of will, because this is the good news, I think. God is not a controlling God. God is in control, but he's not controlling.
Yeah, exactly.
God is in control of the human history. He is going to allow the human history to go downhill due to our own human choices to a certain point, until he finally comes with the return of Jesus and says, okay, the history of evil in this planet has ended. But before I can do this, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that there is a way out from that judgment for them, that I have died for them, that I have given my life to them. So God is going to do something about all of these injustices. He will restore that. I believe he will resurrect these children that have died unjustly and senselessly with, from the results of absolute human selfishness and sin. But that being said, just because one thing is true does not mean the other thing is also true. And the Bible does say, if you trust in the Lord, your starvation is not going to be, you can die in many other different ways.
Yeah.
Starvation is not going to be one.
Yes. I've never starved, and I have been incredibly poor before, but God has provided for me in many different ways, including eating the rice and beans out of my friend's parents' cabinet. Being provided in ways that are very humbling, but and bare minimum as far as nutrition. But I certainly have lived to tell the tale, and I'm not skin and bones now. So
there's actually a modern day example of, there is a church in Mozambique, and they were going through a big period of famine. I do not know if have you heard that story, Tish? And in that church in Mozambique, the church went there. They were praying. There's literally no food whatsoever, and manna started to fall down. Have you seen that testimony?
I have.
They have actually filmed it.
Is that an Adventist?
It's a 7-day Adventist. It was a church. From what I remember, I believe in Mozambique.
Yeah.
And
I did see that.
So manna was falling, just like in the olden days. That there's actually a Brazilian chemist that took some samples and analyzed them, brought to the laboratory. He wrote an actual scientific article about that substance that he called manna. So because it looked like manna from the Bible.
Do you remember anything that he wrote about it? What was what was its makeup?
It was actually a very nutritious substance.
Yeah. Okay.
Very nutritious. Basically had amino acids, and he gave a full
right up.
The full spectrum of nutrients. He was a specialist in that kind of area.
Okay.
And interesting enough, when the situation in Mozambique became a little bit better, then manna stopped falling every day or 6 days, because it didn't fall on the Sabbath. And it started to fall, I think, just once or twice a week.
Okay.
And
just
eventually just stopped. Eventually it stopped. And this is recorded. There's videos about it. You can see the people being interviewed. It's just an amazing modern day miracle that will get recorded. We don't get too many of these, but this is one of them.
I think I remember watching that one in 2017. It was already a couple of years old by that point, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So God provides. If he has to make manna rain down, he will.
Absolutely.
If he needs to make ravens come down, he will. So Elijah is now going to, this is the thing, God will provide one way or the other.
Absolutely.
And after the brook,
Kerith?
the Kerith brook, it dried up, God was going to provide to Elijah.
You're listening to the
way.
Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively
It's
different.
now the time that producer Tish will reveal to us the answer to her tricky quiz question.
Recapping the question just quickly, which book of the Bible was written for the reader to receive instructions in wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity? That was Proverbs.
Okay, the book
Awesome.
of Proverbs. Yes, well done.
And would you like the next quiz question?
Yeah. let's do
Can I
it.
just say
Oh,
something about the
okay.
book of Proverbs
Sure.
since we're here? The book of Proverbs are, when we're reading the different Proverbs, just be careful one thing, they are not necessarily promises.
Yes, they are principles.
They're
of life.
principles, yes.
Yes.
So this is how life works in general, in normal circumstances, but there can be exception to these things. So just whenever you're reading Proverbs, just bear that in mind, that sometimes the work does not operate according to the book of Proverbs, and it operates a little bit more according to the book of Ecclesiastes that comes
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah.
And Ecclesiastes introduces something that a lot of Christians struggle with, which is the randomness of life.
Yeah. The time for this and the time for that.
Yeah, not always the fastest person will win the race. Not always the most intelligent person or the most noble character person will succeed in the story, and all these kind of things. Ecclesiastes bring that, and what disrupts is sin. But the book of Ecclesiastes does say, hey, there is an element of randomness in this life. I mean, things
Yeah.
don't go according to the logic that God
No.
created, just so you know.
Yeah.
All right, Lindsay, Tish, please, the next quiz.
Okay. In Psalms 23, the Lord prepares a table in whose presence? This is a chapter I really like, actually. In Psalms 23, the Lord prepared a table in whose presence? If you think you know the answer to this one, please let us know on 0491 064 669. In Psalms 23, the Lord prepared a table in whose presence? We have one correct answer and...
It took
Two
you a while
correct
there,
answers.
Lindsay, to write down that one.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. First I wrote down a wrong answer, and then I scratched it out. I was like, that's not right. I actually know what it says now. So
Okay.
If you also know the answer, I'll read it one more time. In Psalms 23, the Lord prepares a table in whose presence? 0491 064 669. Please text us in and let us know if you know the answer to that.
It's an amazing passage, that one.
it is, and I think it's a lot of people's favorite psalm.
It is a lot of people's favorite psalm. Yeah.
And because it's a lot of people's favorite
It's one
psalm,
of my
it's
favorites
just not
for
my
sure.
favorite psalm.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm a little
You're
bit
one of
rebellious
these
like
people.
that.
Yeah.
I like to be a little more niche
Unique.
than that. And so by the time you get to that point in the psalm, I'm like, I don't really know what's there anymore, to be honest. So like, I know other parts of the Bible much better than
Yeah.
Psalm 23.
Look, my relationship with Bible verse, because, sometimes people ask you, hey, what is your favorite Bible verse and all these kinds of things. And it's kind of like kids, It's when people ask you, like, which one is your favorite child? Like, you cannot really answer
Yeah.
that question.
I'm
So
like that with my favorite color.
I
I have
say
like 3.
I love each one of them with a special, kind of love. So each one depends. I have lots of favorite psalms. Depends on the occasion.
Yeah.
There will be occasions that Psalms 23 will be my go-to. There will be other occasions that's not Psalm 91. There will be occasions that is Psalm 88, and different psalms depends on the
Yeah.
occasion. Okay, so we are allowed to have different,
Yes.
different favorite Bible passages from time to time. I believe so. And I also going to say, we're going to give a shout out to our friend Davo from Bauga, Western Australia. Congratulations to you, Davo. It's your birthday today.
Happy birthday!
So all the best to you, mate. Thank you so much for listening to our show. For those of you who don't know, Dave is probably one of our top listeners. He's every day. He's tuning in. He's waking up earlier in Western Australia. He's tuning in the radio. He's participating in the quiz questions. So we are very blessed to have you, mate. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for your friendship, and all the best for your day. May God bless you and your family. And he just shared as well that his wife's birthday is on the exact same day as Tom Cruise's birthday.
Oh, wow.
So that is pretty cool.
That's crazy.
All right, next, let's move on because the
Let's
brook
get
dried
in.
up.
All right. We've
Verse
done
7.
way too much backstory. Let's get into it now. Verse 7. So we're in 1 Kings, chapter 17, verse 7. And it happened after a while that the brook dried up because there had been no rain in the land. Then the word of the Lord came to him, saying, Arise, go to Zarephath, which belongs to Sidon, and dwell there. See, I have commanded a widow there to provide for you. So he arose and went to Zarephath. And when he came to the gate of the city, indeed, a widow was there gathering sticks. And he called to her and said, Please bring me a little water in a cup that I may drink. And as she was going to get it, he called to her and said, Please bring me a morsel of bread in your hand. So she said, As the Lord your God lives, I do not have bread, only a handful of flour in a bin and a little oil in a jar. And see, I am gathering a couple of sticks that I may go in and prepare it for myself and my son, that we may eat it and die. And Elijah said to her, Do not fear. Go and do as you have said, but make me a small cake from it first and bring it to me. And afterward make some for yourself and your son. For thus says the Lord God of Israel, the bin of flour shall not be used up, nor shall the jar of oil run dry, until the day the Lord sends rain on the earth.
Okay, let's just pause here for a second, okay? There's a fair bit.
There is.
So God told Elijah to go to Zarephath, which belongs to Sidon. Where is that in today's map? Lindsay, you're the map girl.
So it's on the north end of the land of Israel on the Mediterranean Sea. And actually, as I was reading it, I thought, hey, this sounds familiar to something we were talking about, I think, just yesterday. Because do you know where Ahab's wife came from?
She was the daughter of a guy called Ethbaal.
Yes.
And
king of where?
I believe, isn't he king of Sidon himself?
Yeah, the king of the Sidonians. We see that in
right.
chapter 16, verse 31. So where God has just sent Elijah is to a widow's house in a town that belongs to the king's father-in-law.
Yeah, it is a head-scratching statement, this one, particularly if you were like an ancient Israelite, like reading this story, because the Israelite king married a Sidonian woman and he adopted her god,
Yes,
or gods in plural, while God is sending his prophet to Sidon because there's a lady there worshiping the true God in the pagan land.
well, I don't even think she was worshiping the true God, because she said, as the Lord your God lives. Like, she was calling on somebody else's God's name in that moment, right? She wasn't saying,
Not
my
necessarily.
God.
But look, I wouldn't say that this is a definitive evidence.
I don't think she was fully sold on the God of Israel at this point.
Okay. I think she probably was. I think she was a God-fearing lady. A God-fearing person in the Bible. God-fearing means you are a worshiper or a respecter. Perhaps she didn't worship with all the understanding.
Yeah.
But she definitely feared
Like,
God.
I had an appreciation for him.
Appreciation for him,
Yeah.
understood him, respected him,
Yeah.
followed him with the understanding that she had. Because this instruction is actually like, for example, it's kind of like it's actually quite normal in the Bible for when someone's talking to someone else saying, hey, the Lord your God.
Okay.
For example, the sons of Jacob would say that to Jacob.
Okay.
The Lord your God said this, and that. Well, the Lord was also their God, but it's just an expression.
Sure.
The Lord your God.
Okay.
And particularly because when you're talking to someone in a position of, as a prophet, in a position of respect, they said, the Lord your God.
All right.
But she is using the name the Lord, which is Yahweh.
Yes.
So she means that she's not oblivious.
Oh, okay. It comes up as Yahweh in the original?
And also, she is swearing by that God.
Right.
Which is also a very unusual thing. So she's saying, as the Lord your God lives. This is like a very Israelite
thing to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
As the Lord lives, surely.
Yeah.
It's just this is a way of saying, look, I swear to God, I would give you bread if I had. But look, I just had like a handful of flour,
Yeah.
like a tiny little amount of oil.
Yeah, like a
I'm
drop
going
of oil.
A drop of oil. I'm going to bake that. I'm just gathering some sticks. This is going to be our last meal, my boy and I. After that, our plan is we're going to die.
Yeah.
We're just going to sleep until we don't wake up anymore
Yeah.
because we're so tired and
Yeah.
weak. And Elijah, what did Elijah respond to her? Don't you, every time that I read this, it's like, man, this is a bleak situation.
Yeah. Bleak for the whole country. Bleak for this one woman who's already lost her husband somehow, maybe to starvation, maybe to some other accident or sickness or something. She's by herself. She has her only little son. And now this dude walks in and is asking for hospitality, and she can't like turn him away and, say, I can't give you hospitality. That's just not the damn thing.
Yeah.
So she has to
I can't really
actually
feed you.
split her tiny one serve portion with
Yeah.
a third person now. So it's not looking good until
Not looking good. And this is something that is so far from our reality. Because like,
Yeah.
imagine like you have eaten through your whole pantry.
Yeah.
Then there's nowhere left, no more food left in any supermarket around. There's probably no fuel around. There's no farms around that can give you anything. It's just like there's no food.
Yeah.
This is the last tortilla, moldy tortilla bread that I have in my pantry. We're going to eat that, and after that, we're just going to die.
Yeah. Wow, crazy. So the reason I brought up where they were at the moment is because I just wanted to hit on the Sidonians for a second. So if God sent Elijah to Ahab's father-in-law's country, I believe later on we're going to look at this a little bit more. We can tell later on in the story that Ahab has been searching everywhere, internationally, for Elijah. And yet he's been under his nose the whole time in the one place where he can't go poking around too much because it might upset his father-in-law, the king of the next door neighbors. Like, that was the most perfect place. Like, God could have plucked up Elijah and taken him to China or something if he wanted to, or South America or whatever, and then brought him back later. Like, whatever he wanted to do, he could have done that. But instead, he just like made him walk up the hill and go to the neighboring
father-in-law's
the king's
neighborhood.
father-in-law's neighborhood. and that is the one place where if Ahab wanted to poke around, like, his father-in-law would be like, "What are you doing, bro? Like, go away. Like, don't stir up a nest.
Yeah,
here.
go mind your own business.
Go mind your own business, boy." So
That's funny. Love
that's
it.
yeah. So it's a little side note, but let's get back into this
It
story.
is a good, let me add another side note here that
Sure.
I think is interesting about starvation physiology.
Okay, tell me.
So during World War II, there had been some, I believe it's World War II, perhaps Vietnam War, but the United States Army was running some experiments to see what would be the effects of starvation on people. Particularly, so they would get like soldiers, they would get like, healthy young boys. And actually, a number of them were Seventh-day Adventists.
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of the Seventh-day Adventists, because they were in the majority conscientious objectors, meaning they were people that said, look, I'm not going to carry guns to war. One of the options that the Department of Defense would give to these boys, say, hey, okay, then would you like to instead help to contribute to your country by allowing us to run some really gnarly experiments on you? And they said, yeah, sure, anything. If it's helpful, yeah, for sure. One of the experiments that they ran was an experiment on starvation where they were cutting their diets by like 50% in terms of their calories and like 70% and so on. Then they're seeing how fast they bounced back, if it's better to bounce back. And for the United States, it was important because there's no studies of such type before.
Yeah.
And they needed to know, okay, how do we treat back when people are rescued from prisoners of war camps or from concentration camps, and they need to be rehabilitation? Do we just feed them everything at once? Do we slowly increase their nutrition? What's the best thing? And one of the things that they discovered is that once your calorie intake is cut down by about half for
A
some
while,
time.
yeah.
And it's not a long while, but like, even I think 2 weeks to 3 weeks start to kick up. One of the things that happened is that they found out that your base metabolism falls considerably.
Okay.
This is why if you're trying to lose weight, not eating, it's not the best way.
No, yeah, you're putting yourself into starvation. Then your body's like, all right, well, we need to hold on. And when we do get more calories in the future, we got to pack them on because starvation could happen again. And so you actually gain more weight if you do like a starvation type diet at some point.
Yeah.
And then you're eating more
That's right.
later.
So you have to eat just a little bit less than you normally do.
Just a tiny bit less.
Just a
but
tiny bit.
Yeah.
And you just have to wait that your
Yeah.
nature does its thing. And
It should take you 2 years to like drop 10, 20 kilos, not like a few months.
yes, but what one of the things that they discovered is that when we get into that starvation mode and our bodies are conserving energy, which is a brilliant, beautiful mechanism for survival. But one of the things that happens there, and this is explains why a lot of people get cranky when they are on like very strict diets, is that people become more irritable,
Yeah.
less patient, more prone to depression, and also more prone to be just very negative in general, have a negative outlook in life. And this could explain the fact that this lady, she already lost her hope. Not only because the national situation was very dire, but because she being in that starvation mode already for a while, she just couldn't really see the light at the end of the tunnel. So she just came to the prophet and says, look, like, why? I mean, we don't have any bread. The little bread that we do have, we're just going to have then, and then we're going to die. That's our plan.
Wow.
That's
I've
our
never
plan for
seen
today.
that before,
That's on
but
the menu.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm about to die. What are you going to do?
Yeah. So it was compounded by the effects of the famine.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
Normally, God, I think He wants us to believe in miracles by faith. Normally, miracles are not something that is like well advertised, even though some miracles have been. I remember there's a miracle of one guy that had a very, very croaky voice.
Yeah.
He lost his voice, and then he was just, preaching about God, how he prayed that God would heal him, how he hasn't had the response, but God was still worthy of being worshipped. And I remember that in the middle of that, it was a lecture that he was giving, a presentation. And in the middle of the presentation, many years that he lost his voice started to return. By the end of it, his voice was 100% established, and he was just praising God.
That's amazing.
He was praising God like a skipping calf.
Was he like recognizing what was happening while he was
He
speaking?
was recognizing it, and then in the moment, like, he kind of stopped, he starts crying, and he just starts thanking God.
That is so wonderful.
Yeah, maybe I can send you the link for that one as well.
Wow.
So text me here 0491 064 with hashtag MENA or hashtag bread, whatever is easier for you. I can send you both links. I can send you the link for the MENA documentary. I can also send you the link for that miracle caught on audio recorder of God's restoring a man's vocal cords mid-preaching.
Wow.
Which is also, look, when I see that story, it's very, very
beautiful.
touching. Yes, very emotional. So, and all of that, why am I saying this? Just so you can trust in God. Just so you can know.
Build your faith.
That, yes, whenever the outlook of the future is looking that very bleak, that God is not going to provide, you know what? We can call back to those stories and say, no, I know that God can. And not only God did provide 2,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, He provides today. So something that you don't need to worry, something to which you can anchor your trust in God's fear not promises. So 0491 064 669 is the number to text, hashtag MENA or hashtag bread. And what are you going to be talking about, Lindsay?
After the song and the news, we're going to be talking about the Yakult delivery ladies in Japan.
Yogurt delivery ladies in Japan.
Yeah, they keep old people feeling safe and happy.
I've trusted in you ever since I was young, my only hope. I've leaned upon you before the day of my birth, my only hope. It was you who took me from my mother's womb. Even in my old age, even when my hair is gray, oh God, do not forsake me. Even in my old age, even when my strength is gone, oh God, do not forsake. From the heart of the earth, you have redeemed my soul. Who is like you, God? You take me down to the depths, but you revive me again. Who is like you, God? It was you who took me from my mother's womb. Even in my old age, even when my hair is gray, oh God, do not forsake me. Even in my old age, even when my strength is gone, oh God, do not forsake. Until I have proclaimed your strength, until I have proclaimed your power to another generation, to a people yet to come. Until I have proclaimed your strength, until I have proclaimed your power to another generation, to a people yet to come. I have trusted in you ever since I was young, my only hope. Even in my old age, even when my hair is gray, oh God, do not forsake me. Even in my old age, even when my strength is gone, oh God, do not forsake me. Oh God, do not forsake me. Oh God, do not forsake.
Thanks for being a part of the Faith FM family. Join our community on Facebook or get in touch at 1-800-FAITH-FM.